Thank you so much for all the love and warmth. Thank you all for accepting me. Thank you very much. Well, I always start my talk with a disclaimer, and that disclaimer is that I never claim to be a motivational speaker. Yes, I do speak, but I feel like a storyteller because wherever I go, I share a story with everyone. I believe in the power of words. Many people speak before they think, but I know the value of words. Words can make you break you, heal your soul, or damage you forever. So I always try to use positive words in my life. Wherever I go, they call it adversity. I call it opportunity. They call it weakness. I call it strength. They call me disabled. I call myself differently abled. They see my disability. I see my ability. There are incidents that happen in your life so powerful that they change your DNA. These incidents and accidents may break you physically and deform your body, but they transform your soul. They mold you into the best version of yourself. The same thing happened to me. Let me share what exactly happened. I was 18 years old when I got married. I belong to a very conservative Balak family. My father wanted me to get married, and I said, if that makes you happy, I will say yes. Of course, it was never a happy marriage. Just 2 years after getting married, around 9 years ago, I was in a car accident. My husband fell asleep and the car went into a ditch. He managed to jump out and save himself. I am happy for him. But I stayed inside the car and sustained multiple injuries. My right arm, wrist, and shoulder were fractured. My rib cage injuries severely damaged my lungs and liver. I couldn't breathe and I lost control of my bladder, which is why I now have to wear a bag wherever I go. Those injuries changed my life completely. The worst injury was to my spine. My backbone was crushed, leaving me paralyzed for life. This accident took place in a remote part of Balochistan where there was no hospital or ambulance. I was in the middle of nowhere. People dragged me out of the car, causing a complete transection of my spinal cord. There was a debate. Should they leave me there or take me to a hospital? Eventually, they put me in the back of a Jeep and drove 3 hours to a hospital. I remember that bumpy ride vividly. I was broken thrown in the back of the Jeep. At the hospital, I stayed for 2.5 months. I underwent multiple surgeries. The doctors inserted titanium into my arms and back. That's why people in Pakistan call me the Iron Lady. Sometimes I wonder how I can describe this experience without crying. They say when you can share your story without tears, it means you are healing. Those months in the hospital were dreadful. I was on the verge of despair. One day a doctor said, "You wanted to be an artist, but your wrist is too deformed. You won't hold a pen again." I stayed quiet. The next day, he told me your spine injury is so severe you will never walk again. I took a deep breath and said, "It's all right." The day after, he said, "You won't be able to have children." That devastated me. I asked my mother, why me? I began questioning my existence. Why was I even alive? I couldn't walk, couldn't paint, and couldn't be a mother. In our society, women often feel incomplete without children. What was the point of living? People feared I would be divorced. What would happen to me? We all chase the light at the end of the tunnel, but my tunnel had no light. That was when I realized the power of words. My mother said, this too shall pass. God has a greater plan for you. Those words kept me going. I smiled to hide the pain because I couldn't bear to see my family cry with me. One day I told my brother, bring me some colors, I want to paint. The first painting I made was on my deathbed. It wasn't just art, it was therapy. Without saying a word, I poured my heart onto the canvas. People admired my colorful paintings, but only I saw the grief within them. After 2.5 months, I was discharged, but I had pressure ulcers and infections. The doctors confined me to bed for 2 years. During that time, I realized how lucky people are without knowing it. After 2 years and 2.5 months, I sat in a wheelchair for the first time. It was my rebirth. Looking in the mirror, I told myself I cannot wait for a miracle to walk again. I must accept myself as I am. I applied lipstick for the first time, then erased it thinking, what will people say? But then I reapplied it for myself. That day I decided to live for myself and embrace my imperfections. I decided to face my fears. We all have fears. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of losing health or loved ones. I wrote down my fears and vowed to overcome them one at a time. You know what my biggest fear was? Divorce. I couldn't stand this word. I was trying to cling to this person who didn't want me anymore, but I said, no, I have to make it work. But the day I decided that this was nothing but my fear, I liberated myself by setting him free. I made myself emotionally so strong that the day I got the news that he was getting married, I sent him a text and said, I am so happy for you. And I wish you all the best. He knows that I pray for him today. My second biggest fear was that I wouldn't be able to be a mother again, and that was quite devastating for me. But then I realized there are so many children in the world, all they want is acceptance. So there was no point in crying. Just go and adopt one. That's what I did. I gave my name to different organizations and orphanages. I didn't mention that I was in a wheelchair desperate to have a child. I just said, this is Muniba Mazari, and I want to adopt. Boy or girl, it doesn't matter. I waited patiently. 2 years later, I got a call from a very small city in Pakistan. They said, are you Muniba Mazari? There is a baby boy. Would you like to adopt? When I said yes, I could literally feel the labor pain. Yes, yes, I am going to adopt him. I'm coming to take him home. When I reached there, a man was sitting looking at me from head to toe. Don't judge me. I'm in a wheelchair. You know what he said? I know you will be the best mother for this child. You both will be lucky to have each other. That day, the baby was 2 days old. Today, he is 6. You will be surprised to know my third biggest fear: facing people. I used to hide from people. When I was in bed for 2 years, I kept the doors closed. I would pretend I was asleep just to avoid meeting anyone. You know why? Because I couldn't stand the sympathy in their eyes. They treated me like a patient. When I smiled, they would ask, you're smiling? Are you okay? I was tired of hearing this. Once a lady at the airport asked me, are you sick? I replied, well, besides the spinal cord injury, I guess I'm fine. Those questions never felt cute when I was confined to bed. I hid from people because I couldn't bear their sympathetic looks. But it's all right. Today, I'm here speaking to all these amazing people because I've overcome that fear. Do you know what's the most painful thing when you end up in a wheelchair? It's not what you think. People in wheelchairs who are differently abled have their own fears, but they rarely share them. I'll share mine. The lack of acceptance. People think they won't be accepted because in a world of so called perfect people, we are seen as imperfect. Instead of starting an INGO or NGO for disability awareness, I decided to appear more in public. I started to paint something I always wanted to do. I held exhibitions in Pakistan. I participated in modeling campaigns for brands like Tony and Guy. I even did fun barrier breaking projects like one where I dressed as a clown because I know clowns have hearts too. When you accept yourself the way you are, the world recognizes you. It starts from within. I became the National Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women in Pakistan. Now I speak for the rights of women and children, advocating for inclusion, diversity, and gender equality. I was featured in BBC's 100 Women of 2015 and Forbes 30 Under 30 in 2016. But I didn't achieve this alone. You are all thriving in your careers with big dreams and aspirations. Always remember, on the road to success, it's never me, but always we. There is always someone standing behind you, supporting you, even if they stay in the background. Never lose that person. I often say I couldn't find a hero, so I became one. But I still want to recognize three people who changed my life and continue to inspire me. The first is a woman who believed in me when I was on the verge of despair. When everyone else left, she stayed. Every time I looked at her and felt hopeless, she would say, "This too shall pass. God has a bigger plan." She never cried in front of me. She would remind me, "There will be haters, naysayers, and disbelievers, but you will prove them wrong." That woman is my mother. Whatever I am today, I owe it all to her. Thank you, Mama. I wish you were here. You know, we humans have a problem. We expect too much from life. We have this fantasy of how things should work. This is my plan, and it should go as per my plan. When it doesn't, we give up. Let me tell you something. I never wanted to be in a wheelchair. I never imagined it. But life is a test, a trial. Tests are not supposed to be easy. Why do we expect them to be? When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And don't blame life for it. Trials make you stronger. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to cry. Everything is okay, then except giving up. That should never be an option. Failure is an option. When you fail, you get up, and then you fail again. You keep going. That's how humans are strong. We all strive for perfection. Perfect lives, perfect relationships, perfect careers. But nothing is perfect in this world. We are all perfectly imperfect, and that's perfectly all right. You don't have to look good for others or be perfect just because they want you to be. If your soul is perfect from within, that's all that matters. Our society has set strange standards for perfection, different for men and women. We care too much about what people think and listen to ourselves too little. You know what makes you perfect? When you make someone smile. When you try to do something good for the people around you. When you feel someone's pain. Pain is beautiful because it connects people. No other medium can do that. That's why I always say, I am in pain. That's a blessing for me. Today, just because I am in pain and I am in a wheelchair, I work for children. Being the head of CSRF of a company, we conduct medical camps in far flung areas of Pakistan where so many kids die because they don't have medical facilities. I personally believe that just because they cannot afford to live doesn't mean that we will let them die. So we give them money and medical treatment. We try to heal their wounds, physical and emotional. I also work for the beautiful people we call the third gender, the transgender community of Pakistan. You know what connects me with them? All my imperfections. When I go and hug them, they never judge me. This very good friend of mine, her name is Bijli. Bijli means electricity. She calls herself electricity. I asked, "Are you electricity?" She said, "No, I am lightning. I am as strong as lightning. I am thunder." The first time I hugged her, she said, "You are just like me." I replied, "I am like you." Because to people, we are so imperfect. But how beautiful these imperfections are. Because of these imperfections, we connect to people. Then why are we all running after being perfect? What's the point? Every time I go in public, I smile. People ask me, "Don't you get tired of smiling all the time?" What's the secret? I always say one thing. I have stopped worrying about the things that I have lost and the people I have lost. Things and people who were meant to be with me are with me. Sometimes somebody's absence makes you a better person. Cherish their absence. It's always a blessing. I always say that people are so lucky, but they don't even realize it. You must be thinking, okay, you are lucky in that sense. Well, the breath you just took was a blessing. Embrace it. There are so many people in the world who are dreaming of living the life that you are living right now. You have no idea. Embrace each and every breath you take. Celebrate your life. Live it. Don't die before your death. We all die. We live the same routine for 75 years and call it life. No, that's not life. If you are still thinking about why you have been sent here, if you are still juggling with the concept of why you are here, you haven't lived yet. You work hard, you make money, you do it for yourself. That's not life. You go out and seek people who need your help. You make their lives better. You add colors to their lives. You add value to their lives. You become that sponge which removes all negativity. You can become that person who emits beautiful, positive vibes. When you realize that you have changed someone's life and because of you, this person didn't give up, that is the day when you truly live. We were talking about gratitude. Why do I smile all the time? I cry all night when nobody sees me because I am human and I have to keep the balance. I smile all day because I know that if I smile, I can make people smile. That keeps me going. Be grateful for what you have, and you will always, always, always end up having more. But if you cry and complain about the little things that you don't have or the things you have lost, you will never, ever have enough. Sometimes we are too busy thinking about the things that we don't have. Forget that. Cherish the blessings that you do have. I am not saying that I am unhealthy, which makes me unlucky, but yes, it is hard. It's hard when I say I can't walk. It's hard when I say I have to wear that bag. It hurts. But I have to keep going because never giving up is the way to live. Always. So I will end my talk on a very short note. Live your life fully. Accept the way you are. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. I repeat, be kind to yourself. Only then can we be kind to others. Love yourself. Spread that love. Life will be hard. There will be turmoil. There will be trials. But that will only make you stronger. Never give up. The real happiness does not lie in money, success, or fame. I have all this and I have never wanted it. Real happiness lies in gratitude. So be grateful, be alive, and live in every moment. Thank you so much, everyone.